Hello, Super Deformed Gundam fans. So this will be my first model kit from the Cross Silhouette series. To my understanding, it's a frame which you can have super squat or add some pieces and make it a little bit less deformed. Let's see, this thing came out in 2020. It does say limited because it's a clear red body style. But I don't know if that's actually true. Maybe some of you veterans can leave a comment. Did they actually reissue these limited things, or is it literally this is the only clear red one that came on 2020, that wave, and then they never do it again? I don't know. I'm sure it'd be good for new people like me and anyone else that might be watching to know that kind of stuff. Alright, well, hopefully this should be easy because I'm not going to paint it. That's the most time-consuming part of making these model kits, is painting them. So here are the straightforward instructions. There's no need to actually have the ability to read. You just have to have the ability to make out shapes. Alright, so opening this bag. Interesting. I would say this is more orange. I wouldn't call this red. This is orange, I would say. This is pink, and that's yellow. This is definitely red here. I guess maybe this was molded somewhere off of this. Yeah, and it was broken off to fit the box. Alright, then we have this other bag, and for some reason there's a different bag where you can't tear it open. This is strange. Strange that they have different ways of sealing the things in the same product. Now this is actually smoked. It's a clear black. That's unexpected. So now this is opaque though, opaque gray runner A2. And then we have some stickers, just some foil stickers. Well, I mean they're shiny paper stickers. So take that for what you will. I'll probably actually just throw this out and use some jewel beads. So here we are. A little over an hour it took, and I spent a lot of time polishing off the nubs. So if you don't care about the tiny little nubs being shown, you could probably build this in less than 30 minutes. Alright, so how I polished, if you didn't watch, the actual build, I have three steps here. This first, the generic nano file to sand off the majority of the nub. Then this particular cheap nail sander is probably the roughest finish here. Then I have this one, which has 3 grits. I don't know what the grits are because it doesn't say. So then this is the next step. This is the next step. This is the polishing, and then the final polish goes back to this one with this white foam. And excuse me, let me try to focus in on an area. There's a nub mark right there, but it was on this surface where my fingernail is. But you can see it's totally gone. Granted, it's a lot of work, going through those stages, but you can pretty much eliminate almost all the nubs. And there was even a parting line here on the hand, so I just sanded the whole thing away, and then look how smooth it is, because ultimately I used the white side of this thing and got it all polished up. So Again, if you put in time, it works out. Alright, so yeah, you don't need too many tools. I mean, I add clippers as well, but you can use a hobby knife if you really want to. So if you're curious, well, actually, I have a statement. I don't know why this is called a cross silhouette, because there's no other parts. There was only two parts that you don't see right here. One was the mono eye, just a pink flat piece of plastic, but I switched it out with this jewel bead thing, yeah, so it's a little bit more dimensional. And then the only other part was a longer neck joint, but I have the standard short neck joint here, and so I don't know how or why this would be called a cross silhouette, because you can't change the height of it, which is what I thought cross silhouette was about. Please leave a comment if I'm missing something obvious there. Right now, in this standard pose, the actual height of this robot is around 10 centimeters with the horn, maybe like 9 centimeters without the antenna horn thing. If you're working in the inches, it'd be 3.5 inches to 4 inches, depending on whether or not you count that antenna as part of the robot. There is absolutely no glue in this whole thing. Being a Bandai kit, everything is a nice friction fit. I was debating, painting this frame, but it's, I don't know, it's barely visible. So yeah, I was thinking if I painted metallic, but when I look at it, I don't even know if I would notice if it was painted a metallic color. I do have the nubs exposed there. Okay, well, let's go into the articulation. As I mentioned, I have the stock neck here. Maybe you can see that neck actually pivots, and then there's a ball joint on the top of that thing. And actually in the head, you can move the mono eye with this little lever thing. So that's kind of nice. You can probably just actually not even take the head off and just use like a pick or something stronger than that. But it's not that hard to actually take the head off. So now you can see the shoulders here. They're on a peg, and so you can get a butterfly effect. And then the arm is pegged into that thing, so you can rotate the whole shoulder, obviously, and then you can also get some up and down pivoting. So basically, you have a great amount of movement. I mean, look how much this thing is moving, and it's supposedly a super deformed figure. There's a ball joint up in the shoulder for the bicep area. So being a ball joint, you can obviously go in and out a little bit of, well, the forward and back is actually on that peg. And then you'll see there's a ball joint here for these little armor pieces, either this armor or this armor. But if you get rid of it, it'll go up a lot further. Right. It's weird, I was kind of looking for like a ball, but it just kind of rests in this rectangle. You can hear it snap. So now there is a hinge joint here right in the elbow behind this circular area. A little bit past 90 degrees of articulation. Then the hand is on a ball peg, and obviously that goes up in that area there. So rotation and a good amount of angling. Both hands are grippy hands, so they can hold weapons. Then the torso, you have a ball joint as well. And there's a little bit of a gap there in the torso, so tiny bit of crunching forward and back, obviously spinning rotation, and then obviously a little side to side action. I was kind of expecting the hip joint to have a snap to it, but I can't make them snap. There is no drop down. The hip, that ball peg doesn't move, so there's just this thing, and let's see, this will rotate, so anyway, excuse me, but anyways, we'll pop that on. But yeah, that's as far as it goes. It doesn't have a sound to it. Anyway, so you can obviously go in and out sideways, and obviously go front to back as well. And then imagine if this was looser, You could obviously rotate the thing as well, but I guess you'll have to take it off and rotate it if you really wanted to. So then there is a joint right behind this hose, and you get a little bit, not even 90 before it runs into the armor. Yeah, the armor collides at around 90 degrees. Then you can see there's a ball peg here for the foot. And so, you know, rocker, front, back, and spinning all the way around even. Doesn't even collide with the shin armor. These little rocket pods, you know, you can, it's optional whether or not you want to have them. Obviously, I don't really like the fact that the back of the rocket pod, yeah, being blanked off, not a big fan of that, but this is a cheap model kit, so. But because it's clear, I'm not going to bother blanking that out. If it was just an opaque model, I'd probably put a piece of plastic in there to cover it up. The bottom of the feet has pretty good details there. Yeah. And I guess that's it, really. There's a little peg here, probably to store a weapon. And we'll just go into those weapons, actually. Well, let me put this guy's head back on. There's no snap with the head either, it seems. Alright, I didn't hear one. Nope, just kind of rests on it. Alright. You'll also see the hand is hollowed. Let's see. So they're saving on a lot of plastic and the ease of the molding and stuff like that. Again, this is not a master grade kit here. So the tomahawk heat axe thing here, you got this clear piece of plastic. Yeah. I didn't really put the effort into sanding those nubs off properly or polishing them out. Maybe later. I do like it as translucent, you know. It's very cool. So that'll obviously just pop in the hand, but it's kind of weird because the handle is kind of more round than square. But if you look at the hand itself, it's a rectangular kind of grip. But you can see it will hold it. So no problem. And then we have the rifle here, and you'll see I added some jewel beads here. This is just a round domed one, and then I super glued a blue one, not really even centered, but oh well. You can also take the magazine off, just a friction fit. That's the whole gun is smoked, and all smoked plastic. There's this forearm grip here, which is kind of neat, but and then again it is hollow. Again, it is hollowed out and stuff like that. So, but it doesn't look so bad. All these hollow recesses. It doesn't bother me for some reason. Maybe it's because I know this thing was cheap. You notice this thing keeps falling apart, even though it snaps into place. It seems to be really easy to fall apart. Yeah, that one had a nice click to it. Or the handle itself it's just a better fit than the tomahawk one, I think. See, that's snapped in place, but it comes loose pretty easily. So you can actually get the rifle generally horizontal, even when it's colliding into this shoulder armor. You can get the buttstock under the shoulder armor. So that's pretty cool, although it's still 90 degrees. Alright, let's get this one out of here because the bazooka, I put a charge in there. A big jewel bead on a nylon washer. And this is a valve core for like a bicycle tube. And then this is just a brass standoff, threaded standoff. So I super glued all that together and just friction. Right. What's cool is the bazooka is transparent, so it looks like it has a charge in there. In the optics, I actually stacked up some chrome spacers, and then I have a jewel bead on the back side and a faceted jewel bead on the front side. There were 4 recesses back here, but I decided to cover them up with orange jewels, just so they look like kind of like exhausts, of the rocket. This is nice. The handle can angle, so it can clear the shoulder of the robot. And this one also has a pull-out foregrip. So let's see if we can get this guy in here. Yeah, so it seems like all these joints, even though they snap, they're not the tightest joints. I don't know if it's because this is meant for children and they just think maybe it would keep it from getting broken to just have it break loose easier. Maybe that's the reasoning. Alright, so the bazooka, is colliding with this, but because the handle will go forward, it seems to work. If I move the forearm straight and then we get the hand out like this, then I can actually rotate that so the handle's a little more vertical or perpendicular to the bazooka center line. But yeah, it works. I am a little curious, can this other hand grab that foregrip of this bazooka? So if I straighten out this arm, got the butterfly in there, got this butterfly up in here. I don't know. I don't think it's gonna, well, maybe it will. Look at that. I did not think that was gonna happen. I mean, the thing's really short, right? Everything's deformed. So you can actually get it to grip both of the bazooka, which makes me believe it would probably work just as well on the foregrip of this thing, but I'm not going to bother showing that. Let's see, this peg hole. I think, well, it looks like there's a peg here, but it's way too small. So I don't think there's anything on this particular rifle that allows it to peg into that. The bazooka, though, it's got to be this peg. So let's get this bazooka out of this hand. Can fold that thing forward or back. There's actually there's a stop here because I guess it's trying to clear that handle. Maybe fold the handle a little bit. Yeah, so that's what it looks like from the front. But obviously when you're probably have to pose it with the hands down. So essentially you can actually have this guy carrying all three weapons. That's essentially what's going on now. So Heat Hawk, the rifle, and the bazooka as backup. Let's compare to some other robots. So I have a converge of the Char Zaku here. It's quite small, obviously. This is number 31 in the overall converge lineup. Yeah, they're really not going to fit in each other well with each other. This is another Bandai kit, but this is a Votom's robot. I have a video of that build. I forget what that thing is even called. Calamity Dog, I think. I could be wrong. And this is a Robo-Nemo Votoms. So Votoms are these walking tanks. They're not nearly as large as Gundams in their sci-fi worlds. They're more like 5 meters instead of 18, 20 meters. So there you go. Yeah, I think it could fit well with this, but I don't know. Height-wise it fits well, but this is a realistic looking robot, whereas all the other ones are deformed. But I feel like this is just too wide and bulky. So this is a unique creature, it seems. It's doesn't really want to fit in with any other things in my collection, and this is just way out. So all in all, I think this is actually a really cool model. It's strange because I collect some really expensive, like 1/64 scale cars that look super realistic, but this thing, obviously, maybe it's just because it's not a real thing. Gundams are just fake cartoons of giant robots, so I'm not really bothered by the lack of super details, even though I've built other, Bandai model kits. Like the Votom's ones are far more detailed than this. Obviously a real grade or a master grade are going to be far more detailed than this. But I guess it all comes down to the price as well. I mean, this thing is a fraction of the cost of those model kits. I think I really just like the fact that this plastic is transparent. It's just, I've never had a model like this. You can see a little bit of the frame, you know, it's just, and because it's a cartoon, I think it works. I don't know if I would like this if this was a realistic looking model that was transparent. Not sure. So anyway, if you want to get into model kit building, I think this is a good introduction to do so. You know, as long as you're willing to accept the fact that it's not going to have super high details. But, you know, you're not going to lose a lot of money in the process. It's really quick and easy. I think anyone could do it within 30 minutes. And if you want it to look even better, get some polishing sticks and, yeah, maybe take an hour instead. So I couldn't leave well enough alone and ended up stripping most of it apart and painting the frame gold. One thing I didn't mention earlier is these shoulder blades here. This pivot here that's spinning can move in and out. So there it's in the out position, there it's in the in position, so you can get an extension, you know, for this armor and stuff like that. You can kind of see, you know, obviously the gold behind the red. Maybe it looks more like silver behind there. One thing also to note, if you do put this together, this foot will never come apart after you press it together. I tried to jam in a little pick and some foam pry toolbars, wouldn't happen. So then I drilled out the bottom here and tried to push it through, and it just caused stress marks on the gray piece. And then I also have some dust here from drilling it in, drilling that hole on the bottom, which I've now covered with this jewel bead, so it's a thruster kind of thing. So yeah, keep that in mind. It would really be better if you just painted the whole frame before you put anything together, because Bandai's parts fits are so tight. Except for this. After a while this got too loose, so I put some UV glue on this pin to help keep that really tight in there. Also, that really loose socket here in the torso, I put some UV glue on it and it didn't work. I put too much on and it kept on popping out. So I just have some poster putty up in there to kind of help grab the ball more. And that seems to do a pretty good job there. So after fidgeting around and playing with this thing for a little while, the only real problem is these hip joints, I think, they're not deep enough. I don't feel like it's grabbing the hip joint. In this particular case, this one works loose very often, so it's a shame. Granted, these are not very expensive kits, so... Alright, so you already saw with the weapons. I'm not going to put those back on. Let's just take a look here, let you see what it looks like with a gold-colored frame. Yeah, behind the red paneling, it's slightly visible, you know, but obviously it's very visible where there is no red paneling, so I think it looks a little bit better than the gray. Okay, well, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time around.